Claudine, it's great to have you on the podcast.
Thank you. It's really nice to be here.
Talking Points is a mission-driven organization. Tell us why and how Hee-Jae Lim, the founder and CEO, started the company and what you all hope to accomplish.
Sure, happy to do that. Hee-Jae founded Talking Points based on her own experience growing up as a Korean immigrant student and seeing her mother make a difference in her education because she had the voice to do so. Because of this, TJ realized a few things. First, that her story wasn't unique, that there are 40 million students here in the US growing up in under-resourced and immigrant communities. Secondly, that her experience of family engagement was actually a topic with lots of research and with that is a very powerful lever that can improve student outcomes. The reality is that family engagement has been proven to be twice as effective as family socioeconomic status in predicting student outcomes, but yet is the most under-resourced lever we have to do that. If you think about it, it's incredible to know that we have a strategy that can bridge the immense equity gaps that exist in our country. The third is that technology could make family engagement accessible and equitable. The traditional models of family engagement are high touch and not very scalable. One of the most proven strategies is a homeschool visit, which is fantastic. But imagine if you could take the benefit of a homeschool visit and make it accessible to all families via technology, things like that. The other piece of it that I want to mention is that teachers receive little to no training in their own professional certification as a teacher. And that's really unfortunate because that makes it really intimidating, difficult, time consuming, stressful for them often to have the interactions with families that can make such a huge difference to students. So now with the advent of technology, particularly AI, there are just more, the sky's the limit, I feel like, in what we can do to really leverage family engagement to improve student outcomes.
It seems like your mission has become even more critical since COVID. Is that correct?
Yes, COVID certainly highlighted the needs for schools to build strong partnerships with families, particularly the most under-resourced families that were hardest to reach. But post-COVID, it's alarming that the staggering rates of learning loss and chronic absenteeism continue. Research is showing that kids have lost 2 decades of learning, and the problem is only getting worse. Plus, nearly 25% of students are chronically absent, and mental health and well-being issues are a pervasive problem. These challenges disproportionately affect under-resourced students, causing even bigger equity gaps. And family engagement can be that answer to closing those gaps. But historically, it's happened far less in under-resourced communities because of barriers such as technology access, language, limited time and capacity, etc. In addition, schools are struggling to implement best practices. They need to be embedded as a core strategy through their systems. They're trying, but current practices aren't really realizing the full potential that family engagement can offer. To make it easy for families and educators to build strong relationships, there are various ways to do that. Attendance and moving the lever on attendance is one of the areas that we've proven through our research that can really benefit from family engagement. To date, we are showing through our recent quasi-experimental study that we've been able to improve attendance an average of 15% for all students, and even more so for the most under-resourced students. Similarly, in areas of academics, we have similar results. And these are really fantastic examples of equitable outcomes that really bring all students up, but particularly those that are struggling the most.
Is the platform targeted specifically at low-income and immigrant communities, or is it being used by all sorts of communities and all sorts of schools?
That's a good question. We hear consistently that districts are struggling with providing consistent, high-level, equitable outcomes. That means outcomes that support all students, all families where they are. Our universal family engagement platform is designed to drive outcomes for all students. Our target is particularly to reach the 40 million students, that's 4 out of 5 in the US, that come from under-resourced communities and are likely to fall behind if they don't have that support. And we're being used in all types of schools across the country. In fact, 10 of the largest school districts use Talking Points, and we're in 2 out of 3 schools nationwide.
How does your universal family engagement platform work on a day-to-day basis?
So, day to day, educators or family members can reach out to one another. Let's talk about the families for in this case. So, a family may reach out to an educator to give an update on their student, to talk about something that they're struggling with, to explain, I don't know, why they missed class or homework assignment. That message will be translated into from the family's home language to English, such that the educator can read and understand and respond in support of that student. And that message is written back in English and then comes back translated into the family's home language. That's kind of the super, super duper basic part until we layer on the different ways to encourage and nudge and support best practice conversations between educators and families and provide resources that support those.
Are the conversations ever live on the fly, or are they all text?
They're SMS, text, or mobile app based messages. Yeah.
Got it.
Although we do offer both video messaging from educators or staff to families that is translated with closed captioning in the family's home language. And we also offer audio messaging from
Yeah.
schools and districts to families. And that
Yeah.
is translated verbally. We transform a cell phone, a tool that's in the hands of almost everyone these days, into a powerful AI driven education intervention that coaches, explains, translates, and guides families and educators on how to best partner to help children. We provide actionable data to schools and educators that guide family educator partnerships to share critical information on student progress, provide best practice resources to facilitate stronger student engagement in the classroom and at home. And our impact is proven. Research shows that Talking Points drives student attendance, math, reading, well-being, and other learning behaviors. We recently added document translation as well, so that's been really a wonderful new feature. We're actually releasing it right now that allows educators to translate longer form. Let's say it's like a weekly newsletter or a permission slip or other content like that that goes into those same 150 languages to families. So another value add.
Cool.
Mhm.
I understand that you've described Talking Points as an AI first organization. What do you mean by that?
We consider ourselves an AI native solution, meaning that our approach has been centered on AI. I would just say more broadly on using technology that helps to solve the problems of our users and partners since we launched in 2015. And that has very much included AI from the very early days. So we consider ourselves experts in leveraging AI for good. It powers our day-to-day approach, our product innovation, our impact research. So as an example, AI powers our ability to translate Talking Points into over 150 languages. And we are able to do that using custom machine learning models that build on our own human translated content, as well as a lot of investment in breaking down hard to understand terminology that is specific to the US education system that makes it a lot just more possible for those who don't have that background to navigate our US education system. And even we who do speak English fluently it can have difficulties there. So all of that is super helpful and effective.
So you've been using technology, including AI, from the beginning,
Mhm.
from 2015. But in the past year and a half, we've had this revolution in AI with large language models and generative AI and chatbots. Are you using any of that stuff?
We absolutely. Some of the things I didn't mention earlier actually are using AI to mine our conversations, understanding topic quality, sentiment, things like that have really helped us to launch features or to build on our own understanding and therefore launch features that really help to guide best practice conversation towards improved student outcomes. We also recently launched a solutions incubator that allows us to experiment, particularly with AI features in kind of rapid cycle development and learn. So some recent things that we've done are creating ability to have personalized, culturally relevant engagement that's tailored to the unique needs of students and families. Things, for example, such as using AI to create personalized activities for students to do at home with their families based on specific criteria such as topic area, curriculum standard, or learning goal. So, for example, if a third grade teacher has a student struggling in math, they can fill out a short profile and AI will instantly draft a message to the students' families with a grade level appropriate activity to continue learning math at home. And it can even tailor the output to specific standards such as Common Core or state academic standards. Another AI innovation is our ability to drive in the moment guidance on best practices. We have a new generative AI feature called Message Mentor, and we've trained this model using the dual capacity framework and other research on best practices that we've built over time. And it allows educators to craft messages that are positive, that are asset based, that really reinforce and support building a positive partnership with families, even when they're having to have more difficult conversations about things that a student might be struggling with. As you imagine, the benefits are wonderfully impactful to educators, and we're so excited about what the future holds with the just rapid progress in LLMs and their ability to give us more and more features and functionality in AI. The reality is that teachers can't work any harder, and burnout is an all-time high. They need effective tools that make their jobs easier and lighten their loads. And it's really important for us to be able to use those to foster trusting relationships between family and school and remove barriers to family engagement, but also guide the nature of those relationships towards behaviors that research shows will have the most impact on student learning.
You've been with Talking Points for 5 years, first as COO and head of product, and now as president. What's your strategy for increasing your scale from 4 million students, which you have today, to 7 million by the end of 2026, which is your new target? And what role will technology play in that scaling?
Yeah, so thinking back in 2020, only a year after I joined, the demand for our product skyrocketed exponentially. We went from 250,000 educators and students' families to over 1 million. And from there, to meet the demand and drive scale at that time period, we strategically invested in our reach and impact. We offered our licensed product free to high need schools and districts during the pandemic. Many took us up on that. Many of us have stayed with us for the years since because we've continued to build on our product offering, continue to allow them to support effective family engagements in their schools and districts, while still having the free product for individual teachers who want to use Talking Points. So we have a license model for schools and districts that they pay for, that provides a consistent and equitable system-wide approach. And this strategic decision supports our long-term sustainability and scalability as a nonprofit. And none of that would be possible without the efficiency and scalability of AI and technology. Looking to the next 2 to 3 years, accelerating to a market tipping point by reaching those 7 million students that you mentioned earlier, modeling the gold standard for family engagement to shift mindsets and make effective family engagement a universal practice, and building the field and expanding the evidence base for family engagement. These 3 pillars work together to create a flywheel of adoption of universal family engagement practices and impact at scale.
Do you see an important role for technology in kind of this next phase? Is there new attributes or new features that you expect to be able to use?
You know, it's interesting. Our vision began with breaking down the barriers to effective family engagement, translation being a really important part of that. If you can't have a conversation where you really understand each other and trust that you're getting the important information across, that's a really important starting point, right? But we've always intended, the vision has always been to guide. I wouldn't say co-pilot is necessarily the right word, maybe coach teachers and families to have those effective conversations. We've really developed a lot of expertise over the years in how to do that. And our vision has always been to embed that into the product. So the right message at the right time to deliver the most effective results. That's something that happens naturally in our product, has always happened naturally in our product. The best teachers know how to do that. I don't know where they find the time in the day to have the perfect conversation about every student with every family, et cetera. Those happen all the time. But imagine if we can use technology to make that doable, easy, almost seamless for all teachers and families, so they can all have those really productive, effective conversations at the time that they need them. And AI, that vision was always there. AI is just finally at the point that we can really accelerate our progress towards that vision.
Cool. So when and why did Talking Points start using the Snowflake data cloud? And how do you plan on using it in the future?
We started using Snowflake at the start of the pandemic when our user base was growing exponentially from a few 100,000 to more than 1 million educators and families. We needed a database that could support our rapid growth and help us scale further down the line. Then and now, we have a lot of data. There are over 4 million users on our platform, as you've mentioned, over 500 million messages that have been exchanged to date. And it became more and more difficult for us to use our own homegrown analytics tools to support our needs to make smart business decisions and to use our data in all the most effective ways. So Snowflake has helped us to support analytics on the platform, but it also is a source of internal data and analytics that power our business intelligence and research needs. So by that, I mean that our external users and partners, schools and districts around the country, have access to analytics that help them make smart decisions about how to use talking points in their school communities. And then we use it internally for all the purposes that help us to drive smart business decisions around how we invest
Yeah.
and make the most of our data.
When families, students and teachers are using the platform, is Snowflake Data Cloud always there, kind of engaging and enabling, or is it something that's kind of like done separately for data analytics and things like that?
Snowflake is used within our platform for school and district administrators to understand
Right, right,
how Talking Points is working. So, for example, messages being sent, responses from families, understanding them by all the different breakdowns of those families, English speaking families, English language learners, by language, etc. Understanding schools that are highly engaged, teachers and families that are highly engaged, those that might be struggling a bit more, might need more support and
right.
guidance. Yeah, things like that. That's within the product. Yeah.
So you're doing a lot of data sharing with the administrators, it sounds like.
Yeah. And then also consulting them on how to take most advantage of their data, because you can present data or you can make it really actionable and useful. And that's an important part of it too.
Right. Now, a minute ago, you talked about your solutions incubator. I want to hear a little bit more about that. I mean, when did you set that up? How does it work? What kind of results have you gotten from it?
Great question. It's one of those areas that we're super excited about. We've always invested in innovation in our work, and it's always been kind of like I don't know, it's been a little bit here and a little bit there. But this year, we were really thrilled to be able to resource a small, lean and mean team that we call the Solutions Incubator. That is a cross-functional effort between research, data, product, and engineering. And we see it as an innovation hub, a place to rapidly design, test, pilot, and measure the effectiveness of new technologies, features, and services in close partnership with our users. So through the incubator, we run many pilots a year with a focus on increasing student outcomes in high impact areas like academics, attendance, behavior, and well-being. And this is an area where AI really is very, as in many of the areas of our organization, very embedded in the work, and particularly now. So we use research-based product innovation to lead measurable student impact. We're focusing on things like reducing absenteeism, increasing enrollment, higher test scores, course completions, and course proficiencies. It's also an area in this incubator where we are getting invaluable feedback from our users, meaning teachers, students, families, and administrators on a very like almost constant basis to help fuel our innovation work.
Claudine, we're coming to the end of the podcast, and we typically end on a lighter, more personal note. And I understand that your parents immigrated to the United States from Germany, and you were born here, but you only spoke German for your first 5 years. What kind of challenges did you face adapting to school here, and how could the Talking Points platform have helped you?
Yeah. So similar to many of the families that use Talking Points, I did grow up in an immigrant family, and I was an English language learner in my early years. So my first language is German, as you noted.
Yeah.
And while my parents also spoke some English, they chose to have me speak only German so that it would be kind of locked in for life, which it still is. They spoke some English, but they had limited understanding of the US education system and their role in supporting me. I'm a first generation college student in my family, so ultimately I was successful. However, I can only imagine what a difference Talking Points would have made to my educational experience. I think my parents would have wanted to be involved, but never really knew how. I guess overall, when I think about it, and I think about my experience at Talking Points, I recognize regularly, because we have so much one connection to our users, the parents care deeply about their children. They care deeply about their children, even if they aren't able to pick them up from school every day or go to that, back to school night or other school event where you have to be in person, because some of them are working multiple jobs and it's just not possible at all. But they really do care deeply. And even after 5 years of Talking Points, it still feels almost magical to me, the trusted connections that we're able to establish between educators and families that break through those barriers, barriers like being able to be there physically and present. And those are transformative to students. And it's really fantastic to feel like I'm part of an organization that is affecting that change.
Well, it's been inspiring to talk to you today. I live in New Haven, Connecticut, which is a city of 135,000 people, and 40% are non-native English speakers. And
Mm-hmm.
many of the kids are undocumented. So that there are lots of hurdles and lots of barriers to success.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing to see Talking Points and see how useful that could be here. So if you want an introduction, I'll make it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
that.
The other thing is, I mean, I just think, there's so much excitement about AI right now. And it's really easy for me and the people at Snowflake to see how this will be useful for corporations to make them more responsive, make them more efficient, more successful in all sorts of ways. But talking to you, it really becomes clear how this technology can help regular people. And I think this is an area where I'd say it's underexplored in our society. And I hope that many, many, many organizations like yours, but in different domains, start to look at AI and start to look at these new technologies and figure out how they can be used for regular folks. So thank you so much for being on the podcast today. It's been great.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.